Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To some and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button. This time, as you see, it's story time because this is in the playlist. I'm not going to read out the whole thing to you because I've tried that before, and even when I summarize it, when I read the whole thing out, it was 22 minutes. I'm trying to summarize this and keep it under 10, and every time I've done it, I've gone well over 15. So even summarizing it, I only shave off about 7 minutes. There's a coincidence in this story, though. The one sending it wants to remain anonymous. He said that it's a mix of fact and fiction, but that the fiction has more to do with what he left out than what he put in. That's interesting, because I'm going to tell you, what he put in was strange enough. But there is something to it. See, it's hard to believe, but there's something behind it. Here's the thing. What he's put out, what he's talked about, is in 2016 I was getting ready to this time of year getting ready to go back to the States to visit. So I looked up videos of the Gulf Coast and nature along the Gulf Coast because I wanted to know where I could go to get good nature photos and videos without spending a whole lot of money. So I was looking up things like certain rivers and maybe parks and things that might have been free to go to. Get this. In doing so, I found some videos about things that people had seen that they can't describe. And I'm not talking about Bigfoot either. No, it's stranger than that. They have seen something that looks like a monster out of a horror movie. It's clearly a predator, but they can tell it's an animal. Some say that they've seen it multiple times within the same parts of the woods, those who hunt or fish or things like that. And that wherever these things live, the people who live nearby know that they exist, they just don't know what to call them. So people have seen something similar to what this particular story sender described. So I want to get right to it. I'm not going to go into the woods and try to figure out what this thing is to come back and tell you. I'm simply going to explain how the story goes. So he dated a boss chick in New Orleans, Gulf Coast, same interstate along which I grew up. She had friends that were boss chicks, and he met them. About a month after he met them and saw that they're pretty much all the same, she had to go and attend a wedding of another friend that lived in Houston. And what he said is true, that the fastest way between New Orleans and Houston is Interstate 10. That's true. It's the fastest way. Unless there's a major accident or road closure, and in that case, you take a detour. But if you don't want to take Interstate 10, you're going to be a lot longer than 6.5 hours it's supposed to take. So the day she was supposed to leave, she left late. She called him to give up his lunch break to go help her put the bag in the trunk because she had overpacked. The bag was too heavy and she couldn't unpack anything. She just had to take everything that she packed. That was stupid. So he gave up his lunch break, went to go he had to pretty much take the bag himself down from her apartment to her car, put it in the trunk, and then drive back to work because he didn't have time to go and actually grab lunch and finish his shift on an empty stomach. Because she's stupid. We're already at a problem right here. When he finished the shift and had to go through traffic to get to the Burger King near his house so he could finally get something to eat, she had been calling while he was stuck in traffic, and he didn't answer because a cop car was nearby. So he finally got out the traffic to Burger King. He's like, okay, yes, calling you back. What's going on? I need you to come out here and change my tire. Ain't nobody stopping to help me. She didn't have AAA. She couldn't move her bag out of the way to get to the spare tire in the trunk. You see? So he said to her, if you've been driving 4 hours, you're all the way over in Texas. You think I can get to you in time enough? No. And then by the time I get back, it's going to be too late. It'll pretty much be time to go to work the next morning. So I can't get out there in reasonable time. I'm in Louisiana. All I see is Louisiana tags. So she sent a location. When he zoomed in, she was in fact in Louisiana, a little bit west of Opelousas. So she wasn't even halfway to Texas by that point. And she said that only one guy stopped to tell her it was going to be dangerous after sunset. And he was looking at the woods all scared, and then he kept on going. But nobody stopped to help her, not even the cops. So he went ahead, got some gas, got a little snack to hold him, drove up, went through New Orleans traffic, Baton Rouge traffic, got to Lafayette, turned north, went to Opelousas, turned west. And I know those routes, so yeah, that does add up. He called her to tell her, put your blinkers on so that I don't pass you accidentally, but she didn't answer, so he passed her accidentally. Had to pull on the shoulder, go into reverse again. She said she didn't answer that call because she was afraid he was going to say I'm not coming because I'm angry or something like that. So, she's already off on a bad start. She never thanked him. She just vented about how she's late and frustrated and all that. And he said, you're late because you left late and you took the wrong route. You're not on the interstate. You're on another highway. That's why you're late. Well, if I'm late, hurry up and change my tire. So he said, you got an attitude. You're not thanking me. I should be at home warm, dry, and full. I'm leaving. You change it by yourself. So he walked back to his car. He didn't notice she was walking behind him till he got into his car, and then she tapped the window. Now, when he looked up at her, she was looking over the roof of the car, and her expression was changing from anger to confusion to fear. She tried to jump into his back seat, trying to open the door. He unlocked it because he saw she was afraid of something. She got in, he locked it. Then he looked over to see what had scared her, and there were these big reflective eyes looking in the back seat from the other side. He said they were big orange eyes, pretty far, fairly far apart. So he reached in his pistol when he heard something try to open that back door. He got his pistol out the glove compartment and turned the inside light on the car to get a better look. And he said that it was growling. It was like a big predator's face. It had a snout, had sharp teeth. It was growling. The eyes were reflecting orange from lights of the cars passing by. He didn't think they would see it very well because it was dark. And that when he turned the light on, it kind of squinted and it put up a paw over its eyes. And that the paw didn't look normal. It looked more like a raccoon's paw on steroids. Now, I know something about raccoons because I've seen them before. They live along the Gulf Coast. They pick up things and wash them before they eat them. Some people don't notice about them. I saw one up close actually, 2017. I saw one up close, and it was picking trash out the garbage can. So they kind of have fingers. They don't look like our hands, but there are fingers attached to them. So when he said this, when I read that part, even I, black man, was like, wait, what? Okay, so it shielded his eyes, looked over, saw the pistol. He said that it stopped growling, stood up, the whole face shot up. He saw that it had shoulders like ours. It stood up on back legs like us, took off running, and he thought it was somebody in a costume until he realized nobody can run that fast. It was just entirely too quick. So he didn't know what to make of it. Now, whatever the hell this thing was is not that important in the story. He even said he wasn't really concerned about trying to figure out what it was. He was only out there trying to help her. And if she had been smarter, he wouldn't have had to be out there, nor would she have had to be out there in some woods. So he walked her back to the car with his gun in his waist. She got in, he finished changing it with his gun in his waist, keeping an eye on the woods. Said he didn't hear nothing else. And when he finished changing the tire, he said to her, tire's good, go on to Houston. It's not a donut. Fortunately, your spare tire in the trunk was a real tire with a real rim. Just go on to Houston. I'm done with you. I hope you don't find anybody else to tolerate you because no one should have to. And he walked back to his car with her trying to call out to him. He just went and got in his car and left her. Now, when he finally accepted a phone call of hers, he said to her that she didn't need to try to work nothing out with him. She needed to go camping and try to work things out with nature. He was mocking her. Let me tell you why. It wasn't just that there was something they couldn't really get a fully good look at anyway because it was dark and could not identify and didn't make sense what they could see. It wasn't just that. When he drove off, he had to go in the same direction for a little bit, then make a U-turn to go back the way from which he had come. He said when he made the U-turn, his headlights caught similar eyes in the woods on the other side of the highway. It wasn't something small up in the trees. It was something big and probably very tall standing on the ground. Because they were just as big and just as far apart as the ones that were looking in that back window at his now ex-girlfriend. So he knew that whatever the hell that thing was, it wasn't alone. There's more out there. And that he said the lesson he learned in this was that he had gone too far helping women that were just ditzy and chicken heads, and that she was just the worst, that's all. He also said the problem is that we men have built civilization, made it too comfortable, but while these ladies were sitting up here trying to eliminate men from reproduction and everything else, the men who were building were not saying that we need to eliminate useless, dumb, airheaded broads from what we built. That they should not have been allowed to share in civilization. They should have been left out in nature to deal with this stuff. Especially boss chicks, boss babes. He said we had not returned the favor, and look what we had to show for it now. We had built things, or men before us had built things up to a level of comfort that allowed women to become feminists and feminists to become misandrous. This was the lesson he was talking about. And he said, don't pray for the collapse of society. Instead, just let these boss babes, the ones that can't stand men, always want to compete with men, go out into nature and compete with men by building something better. And see how that works. When I read that, I said to myself, you know, if they did that, because this has been done on reality shows, it's been tried. If they did that, really went out and did this, no TV crew, no cameras, no security, nothing. They just went out and tried to do it the way that previous generations of men had done. We would never hear how badly they lost. That's what would happen. That's the lesson in this. So, I don't know what that species was, but he sounded glad that he came across it because it accelerated the breakup he said was going to happen anyway because he knew about my channel by that time. In any case, I hope this helped. Thank you all for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, black out. And as I say, black heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.